There's not really an argument saying that the S24 is better than the S24 Ultra as an overall package, but there are times in which the S24 is the better option. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the reasons why I believe the S24 is sometimes the better option. Before we get started, remember that clicking on the like button will really help this channel out. Now let's get started with some reasons why the S24 can be the better option. First one being the price point. The S24 Ultra starts at $1,300 while the S24 starts at $800. That's a $500 difference, and that goes a long way. It could even get you a second phone if you really needed one. If we were to match the storage, then the price would come up to $860, which will make the difference $440. And that's still enough to buy a mid-range phone. Based on comments that I've seen, not everyone is willing to pay $1,300 for the phone, so $800 kind of becomes the default option. But there are more benefits aside from just the price. And the next one is the overall size of the phone. Now, comparing them side by side, you can easily see that the S24 is much smaller than the S24 Ultra. Now, that's not always going to be a positive thing for everyone. Some people really want the bigger screen and some want the bigger battery. But there still is a market for smaller phones. And in terms of preference, I prefer the smaller phone as well. I'm still waiting for Samsung to come out with an S24 Ultra Mini. That way I could carry around the Ultra features with the form factor of the S24. And with the smaller phone, you also get a smaller screen, but that hasn't really affected me negatively while I'm using the phone. Yeah, the content that I'm going to be watching or reading is going to be a little bit smaller, but it's not so small that it's uncomfortable or anything. But the biggest benefits of having the smaller form factor is being able to hold it securely while still reaching most of the phone pretty easily. And it also feels a lot better when it's in the pocket. With the S24 Ultra, I definitely know every time I place it in my pocket. The extra weight and the size never lets me forget that it's there. But with the S24, I can place it into my pocket and it never bothers me. It's even so light that I don't even feel it when I'm walking, really. Another reason to buy the S24 over the S24 Ultra is if you don't require that 5x lens. I've seen it many times in the comments of my videos where people say that they just don't care about the 5x telephoto lens. So in that case, the S24 is going to have pretty much the same results in terms of camera performance. The ultra wide and telephoto are pretty much the same, if not exactly the same. And the main sensor of the S24 does a good job and competes pretty well with the main sensor of the S24 Ultra. Now, the things that you would be giving up are the 5x telephoto lens, obviously, and then the 200 megapixel mode. But not too many people use a 200 megapixel mode because it's just too large of a file and not too many people even need anything that detailed. But when it comes to the 12 megapixel and 50 megapixel modes, the cameras are actually pretty close in performance. And to go even further than that, anything between the ultra wide and 5x is going to be very comparable because it's all pretty similar. Obviously, once you pass 5x, you're getting into the 5x telephoto territory, and that's going to be obviously much better on the S24 Ultra because you're starting at 5x with a optical zoom, and you just can't compare optical and digital zoom. The next reason that one would want to save money and go with the base S24 is if you don't require the crazy battery life that comes with the S24 Ultra. Not everyone is using the phone 7 or 8 hours a day. In fact, I guarantee you that most people are using it sub 4 hours. But even then, the S24 was able to make it 5 hours and 45 minutes before reaching 20%. And in terms of daily use, that's a lot of screen on time. Obviously, the S24 Ultra is going to have a better battery life considering it has a bigger battery. But again, not everyone requires that type of battery life. The S24 Ultra did reach 6.5 hours before reaching 20%, which is amazing. And not too many phones are actually competing with that right now. But 5 hours and 45 minutes is not really that far off. The next reason is going to be if you really don't care too much about high resolution screens. So the difference here is that the S24 Ultra has Quad HD while the S24 has Full HD. With the screen size of the S24 Ultra, that's going to be more important than with the screen size of the S24, which is just 6.2. The bigger the screen is, the more resolution you need to keep the quality up. The S24 with 1080p is above the 400 pixels per inch mark, which is great, and you're not going to be able to pixel peep and see pixels in it. On the other hand, the S24 Ultra has over 500 pixels per inch, which is obviously better, but eventually you come to that point of diminishing returns, and that's somewhere between the S24 and S24 Ultra. There are positives to the reduced resolution on the S24, meaning that it's going to get better battery life, and that's why the screen on time wasn't too far behind the S24 Ultra, considering it has a much bigger battery. But from personally using both, I don't notice much of a quality difference at all, and I'm happy with the 1080p on the S24. It really does not bother me at all. Another good reason, which kind of goes hand in hand with getting the base model over an Ultra model, is if you don't need the extra storage or RAM. Unfortunately, and I don't know why, Samsung limited the S24 to 256 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM. The 8 gigabytes of RAM is kind of the standard still for the entry level of the flagship models. So I kind of get why that one is still at 8, even though I would like to see it at 12. So there's really not much of a cost difference for the manufacturers at that point. And when it comes to the storage, the 256 gigabyte limit is probably there just to make you jump up to the next model. Unfortunately, there's not really a comparable model for the S24 that's better than it. There's nothing small above it. The only ones that are above it are the S24 Plus and the S24 Ultra, which both are big phones. So really anyone that is interested in keeping a small phone is kind of stuck at 256 gigabytes of storage for Samsung. So how badly is the 8 gigabytes of RAM really going to affect everyday use? And honestly, I haven't noticed it at all. I even use it with Adobe Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop Express, and there's nothing going on that's being affected by the RAM. I'm not sure if some of these AAA games might require more than 8 gigabytes of RAM, but in my experience with casual and older games, I never come across an issue with RAM. The one that I consider to be a limiting factor of the two is really the storage. 256 gigabytes of storage is not going to be enough for everyone, because even if you're not someone who fills it up with games or takes crazy amounts of pictures per year, if you keep all your photos in your phone, it could add up eventually. So some might require a cloud storage for their photos to kind of keep their phone lean. I honestly wouldn't even try the 120 gigabytes of storage, because that'll get filled up really quick, just with apps and everything. So when it comes to comparing the S24 Ultra with the S24, there's no denying that overall the specs are going to be better on the S24 Ultra. But the S24 has some amazing specs as well. It has the same processor. It has great cameras, a great screen, amazing battery life. You're not really missing out on anything, and you can get it all for $440 cheaper. And for many, especially in recent times, that $440 could go a long way to helping something else. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you found it helpful. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.